Hi, everyone. This is Jyotsna Hegde with NRI Pulse. Joining us today is gubernatorial candidate Dr. Kandiss Taylor, who is running for the highest office in the state of Georgia. Dr. Taylor, welcome to NRI Pulse, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get right to it, Dr. Taylor. You are a South Georgia native, and you have been employed as an educator for 19 years. You have served in the public school system as a third grade teacher, school counselor, testing coordinator, student services coordinator, and homeless liaison. Basically, you've been in most of your life in the education field. So tell our viewers why you decided to run for the highest office in the state, and also a little bit about yourself.
Well, I decided to run for governor because I felt like I wasn't represented and the people of Georgia were not being represented. We have a bunch of elitists that are running our state and establishment politicians, and it's Republicans and Democrats. It's not either or, it's both. They've been in there forever, and once they come in, even when they're new, they just fall right in line with this good old boy system, and they don't represent the people of Georgia. They represent themselves and backroom deals and making money. And you can look at the increase of wealth for Governor Kemp. He's worth $4 million more than he was 3.5 years ago when he took office. And you can look at Stacey Abrams and the debt that she had, but what she's worth now, millions of dollars, since she's been working on this fair fight and all the election suppression issues that she says that we have in Georgia. And then you look at David Perdue and the amount of money that he made after he was a U.S. Senator, and on insider information and PPE money and investing in Pfizer during a pandemic because he had that information. So we just have to get back to people that go and serve as a public servant and a trustee. That's what our Constitution talks about. We have to get back to that. And I've been fighting for abused children all of my life. I've spent my career making sure kids have access to curriculum and to education and academia so they can be successful and they can rise above hard situations of sexual abuse and physical abuse and a broken family and domestic violence and poverty. And they can rise above that and be anything they want to be. This is America. And they can rise above and chase the American dream and fulfill their destiny that God has for them. And that is what I have done for 19 years. And so I want to go to Atlanta and clean house and get rid of people who don't really represent the people, protect our freedom. We want to be free. We don't want to live in communism. That's why America is the greatest land that's ever been, because we're free. And we have to have people in there who actually protect that and quit protecting their own financial situation and their own personal agenda. We have to protect the people of Georgia.
Well, your tagline, Jesus, guns, and babies, morality over money, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so Jesus, guns, and babies, it kind of just happened, that slogan. I was speaking at an event and I had a timed amount, like 5 minutes to get my message out. And so I was just talking and I said, I believe in everything you believe in. I believe in Jesus, guns, and babies. And it just kind of came out and the crowd loved it. And for me, I worship Jesus. It's my First Amendment right to worship who I choose. But it's your First Amendment right to worship whoever you choose. Whoever God is to you, whoever you see as a supreme being, that's your choice. That's what America, that's the First Amendment right. It's so important. And our Second Amendment right is our right to bear arms and to protect ourselves personally from criminals and from a tyrannical government. And the reason why America is free is not just because of the military. It's because our government and other countries, they know the American people are fully armed and we will protect ourselves. We will not allow invaders to come on our soil and do anything to hurt us. We will defend ourselves every single time. And they know that. And that makes them reluctant, hesitant, and think twice before they try to come over here and mess with America. It's very important. And I say babies because abortion is the genocide of our time. We have killed millions and millions of babies. There's more Black babies aborted in New York City than are born. And in Georgia, the percent of abortions are 70% Black babies. We are killing our children. And it's ridiculous. It has to stop. We're not God. And the Constitution says that we have the right to pursue happiness. Well, that baby is a human being that has no rights. And if you abort them, they don't have the right to pursue happiness, which is unconstitutional. So basically, Jesus, Guns, and Babies represents the constitutional rights that we have, that our forefathers gave us. And then morality over money is something the Lord told me whenever I was going to run for governor, that in Georgia, Chinese money and Hollywood morality and all these things, immorality, that they're pushing upon Georgia will not be. We're going to put morality first. We're in the Bible Belt. We're very conservative, and we're going to put morality over money. So whether you believe in the Bible or you believe in the Quran or you believe in whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter. Your moral code and what's right and wrong and good and evil, we have to protect goodness. This transgender push on our children, immorality being shoved down our youngest of us all, down their throat, it's not okay. And we have to protect the innocent. And that means put morality first.
Well, when you say morality, this is, what do you think is like the biggest moral failure as, a society today?
Perversion, sexual perversion.
Okay.
And pushing transgenderism on our children. It's an identity issue. It's mental illness. It's whenever you don't know who you are as a human being. And they're glamorizing that, and they're making that look like it's acceptable, and it's an alternative, and it's a healthy alternative. It's not healthy. 50% of people who go through sex change surgery, they commit suicide. I don't mean they attempt, 90-something% attempt. I mean, they complete it. They kill themselves. 50%. You cannot lie with those. You cannot argue with those statistics. And you can't lie and say this is a healthy alternative. It's not. And then we have pedophilia, which is a whole nother issue, and human sex trafficking, which in Georgia, many times is the #1 state for the amount of trafficked children and women and young boys. And so the sexual perversion that's going on in our state has to stop. And when I'm talking about morality, that's what I'm talking about.
Sure. So if elected, what are your top 3 priorities for the state of Georgia?
Well, I've been all over the state of Georgia. We have 159 counties, and I've listened to the people. And the people want to see prison reform. And prison reform, our prison system's falling apart. We have correctional officers being stabbed every single day. We have inmates being killed. Gangs are running our prison. It's very, very, it's falling apart. It's overcrowded. And we have more people incarcerated on parole and probation than any other state. And so we need prison reform. It's not just going to be in the prison system and how it functions. It's going to be a judicial reform too, and it's going to go hand in hand with the mental health reform and opiate crisis in America. Georgia has more people that have died from fentanyl overdose than they have from COVID. And so it's going to go tie into the mental health reform, which I have a PhD in counseling, so mental health is near and dear to my heart. But all of these things go together, and also into medical marijuana and what that would look like to help treat the opiate crisis, and us having 700,000 vets, Army vets, military vets, Marine vets in Georgia, 700,000. We have more than any other state, and they have some, they suffer from PTSD and other issues that we need to address. And so all of these things go hand in hand together, and that's one huge issue we're going to fix. And it's a humanitarian issue. It's an issue that most Republicans don't talk about, but we're going to deal with it, and we're going to deal with our illegal immigration issue, and then the amount of undocumented minors and accompanying minors that are being thrown into our state and dropped off here, and the hardship it's going to produce and cause in our communities. And we're going to deal with that, and we're going to secure the borders of Georgia. Georgia's sovereign, and we're going to protect our way of life first. We're going to put Georgia first. So that's going to be a huge initiative that I do. I'm also going to work on making sure we go to paper ballots with thumbprint recognition and photo ID and watermark to ensure that our basic accounting of our elections is foolproof. There's no reason why we wouldn't have every fair legal vote count one time, and total transparency and total accountability to our election system. This has been altered and messed with and lied and manipulated for 2 decades that I know about, since 2002 when we implemented electronic voting. And we have to get that secure. And I'm going to make sure that that is done. And then people want to get rid of income tax. And I'm a fan of getting rid of income tax. Obviously, I'm a working class educator, me and my husband both. But I want to ensure that property taxes aren't going to skyrocket if we get rid of income tax. I don't want to punish people that own a home. And so we've got to get some economists around the table, and let's look at how that's going to impact Georgia and what we're going to do to ensure that we don't mess up our economy by making that shift. But there's so many things that need to happen that should have already happened that have not. I think the prison reform will help with crime in big cities, but we've got to address the crime in big cities as well. And then, of course, education. I think we'll get into education in a minute, but education is at the forefront of my mind because the governor's budget is almost 70% education.
Yes. And speaking of education, we have 2 bills, House Bill 999 and House Bill 60, which are aimed at basically giving families the choice to, basically send your kids to school moving forward in House committees. It moved forward in February of this year. It has also gained a lot of criticism. So what are your thoughts about, education policies in general? And if you want to comment about these bills in particular?
Yeah, you're talking about House Bill 999 and House Bill 60, and I looked at both of those, and they both have some issues, and they both of them are not great bills, actually. My approach with education is going to be one of, first of all, let me say this. I'm going to fix public education. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do that. But as far as the autonomy to choose, and if you want to homeschool or you want to do private school, I feel like the money should follow the child. And I feel like that should be your right to do that. And it should be your choice. There's always going to be a place for public school. And I don't know what it would look like for the money to shift and for it to move. And those are things that the economists and the experts in the field have to sit around the table and us look at the numbers and see what we would do. But ultimately, public schools are always going to have a place. That's the job of the state, to educate our populace. And in Georgia, we've had Common Core that's come into our school system, and it's dumbed down our children. It's dumbed down our education system. It's taught them a backwards way of doing math and doing other things that have really inhibited them from being able to progress and move to their full potential. And I know because I have 2 teenagers that have struggled through Common Core and me teaching them the correct way to do math, and then them having to produce this opposite, complicated, doesn't make sense math to perform on tests, which is totally asinine. It has been ridiculous. And I want Common Core that is still rooted in our Georgia standards of excellence. I want it out. I want to do away with it completely. I want us to teach to the top. You teach to the top, and you set expectations, and children will meet those expectations. And then we take care of our special needs population, of course. We always are going to do that. But we need to teach to the top, and we need to push children academically. That's the job of the school system. We're going to do that. What's not the job of the school system is pushing social emotional learning that teaches communism and pushes transgenderism on children, or CRT, which is critical race theory.
CRT now, yeah.
Yeah, that pushes oppression and teaches children they're less than, and kills their fire for the American dream, and just creates racism. It's ridiculous. Or comprehensive sex education that teaches sexual perversion to children. It teaches children to self-pleasure at the age of 5 years old. It's demonic, it's evil, and it has no place in schools anywhere. But it definitely will not happen in Georgia. And so what I want to do is I want to say to them, I've heard it said by people at the State Department that curriculum is a local decision. Well, it is, but we're talking about morality. We're not talking about curriculum. When you're talking about oppression and communism and sexual perversion, you're talking about morality. And so there's a code of ethics for educators. Educators have to be able to pass tests and get certified to teach, and to be able to be a principal or an administrator. And then they have to adhere to a code of ethics. And if they violate the code of ethics, they can be sanctioned, and they can even lose their certificate and not be able to teach anymore. So if a teacher is caught teaching these things that are immoral to our children, you sanction them for 90 days. They don't get to work. They don't get paid. They have a mortgage. They have a car payment. They will shut their mouth. It doesn't matter how woke they are. They'll stop. It's not hard to fix. It's a morality issue, and we're going to fix it very quickly when I'm the governor of Georgia. It's not going to be allowed in Georgia schools.
So, your race before, there's still the primaries, right? So you have Governor Kemp, who's quite popular in certain circles. And then you have Senator Perdue, who's been endorsed by President Trump. So what is your, how has your experience been, campaigning, and how have people received you so far? What do you think your chances are?
I think that it'll be me and Governor Kemp in a runoff. Okay. For sure. We have, our grassroots movement has been phenomenal. We're growing every single day. The people of Georgia want to be represented by someone like them. They're sick of the backroom deals. They're sick of the good old boy system. They've had enough of it, and they don't want it. And, I call Perdue and Kemp twin rhinos. They're the same exact person. They're the same. They're best buddies. And they're going to represent themselves and their bank accounts. They're not going to represent the people of Georgia. I have watched people get so passionate and so excited to have hope that they're actually going to have their voice heard, and that someone's going to actually go in and care about issues that affect our families, and not just go in and make backroom deals about the ports or big tech or big pharma or big corporations or real estate. That they're actually going to go in and they're going to care about them and be a trustee and a public servant for them. And I think that after 2020, and we watched our whole entire state be hijacked, and us watching these ballots being pulled out and rescanned, and all the things you're going to see with the 2000 Mule movie that's going to come out in a week, all these things that you're going to see, I think it comes out in 2 weeks actually. You're going to be appalled. And if you don't believe there was fraud in the election, you're going to have irrefutable proof that there was fraud. And it's going to make you see that no, Governor Kemp can't stay. He can't stay. He didn't address these concerns. He didn't do anything to show the Georgia people that he was going to stick up for us. And David Perdue didn't do anything either. And we're not going to do a Perdue dynasty. This isn't, his second cousin was already the governor. We're not going to have a Perdue dynasty in Georgia. We're going to get normal people to go serve and come home. They don't get to stay forever and ever and have all the power and the control. The power belongs to the people, and it's going to go back to the people.
Speaking of diversity in Georgia, census data shows us that Georgia has had a dramatic boom, especially in the ethnically and, different kind of races coming into Georgia and all of that. And, it's continued to grow, and we see that it's going to continue to grow. So what do you think? How do you think diversity, has and will affect the growth of Georgia?
We're a land of immigrants. That's what we are. And immigration is a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. I wouldn't be here if America wasn't founded and immigration happened. And we need a faster way to citizenship. It's very complicated in our country. And I know that because I had a student from South Korea that lived with me for 2 years when she was in high school. And she's been here in this country for 15 years and she can't get her citizenship, but she's a teacher and she's paying taxes and she has children, but can't get her citizenship. It's ridiculous. But we also, at the same token, we have to secure our border. We can't have criminals coming over here, and we can't have people that don't have jobs and have establishment and in the way that they work and they live come here and be dumped on us for health care and for shelter and for food. We can't do that. We're going in debt every single day. Our national debt is sky high. And as Georgians, we can't allow this to happen. And so I welcome anyone who wants to come to our state, even the people who are in different cultures. I've been, with the Asian population and with the Latino population. I've been all over the state talking to different people, the Native Americans. We're conservative. We're conservative. It's not about what color our skin is and how much pigment we have in our color, how much melatonin or whatever in our pigment in our skin. This is about us being moral and us caring about our children and our family and us being Americans, and we want to be free. And we came here because we wanted to be free. And it's all about freedom. And we have to get away from all the social issues. And if we agree or disagree about that, right now we're in this place of communism versus a constitutional republic. And we're in this place of communism, complete control of government, or freedom. And what do you want? It's good versus evil. It's right versus wrong. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's us versus the establishment.
Well, since we're running out of time, let's have you, your pitch. So why should the people of Georgia vote for you to be their governor?
Well, I want the people of Georgia to vote for who represents them the best. I want you to research every candidate. I want you to look at every one of us. And I want you to choose who represents you the best. I'm not going to ask you for your vote. I would love to have your support. I need grassroots support. I need door knockers. I need money. I need donations. You can go to CandissTaylor.com and you can check me out and decide if I'm the one that's the good fit for you. But we have a nation of a representative that we elect to go and represent our will and represent our goals and for our state. And we have to choose the person that we best align with, that we think is honest and that will go and do that. And so, you've got to look at that for each individual person running, and you've got to make that choice for yourself. And I would challenge you to look at your morality and look at the person's morality of who is running for office and what their past behavior has been, because your past behavior is the best predictor of your future performance.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Thank you for joining us today. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Do you